With Steven Spielberg himself backing her and the whole world at her feet, how could anything go wrong? From the outside, it seemed like the ultimate fairy tale, a Cinderella story where the small-town girl with the big voice took center stage. Spielberg wasn't just hiring her, he was anointing her, and the industry was ready to roll out the red carpet. But now, that same man who plucked her from obscurity is allegedly the one slamming the door shut, hard. If the latest Hollywood whispers are true, Spielberg finally exposed the chaos Rachel allegedly caused during West Side Story, and it's not a good look. Once viewed as the future of the industry, Rachel's dream career is now collapsing under the brutal weight of her own attitude, and it's not just Spielberg who's pulling away. Combined with the Snow White box office disaster,
what's it like hearing people say all these really nice things?
It's very validating. A lot of hard work has gone into this film, but so much love, truly. Speaking for myself and also for the filmmakers behind it, just so much love for the storytelling and for bringing something that means so much to so many people and bringing it to the modern age is really so special.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of
a movie that became one of Disney's most expensive flops ever. Rachel's fall from grace isn't just shocking, it's historic. It might just be one of the fastest collapses Hollywood has ever seen. When Rachel first auditioned for West Side Story, it wasn't just good, it was breathtaking.
So apparently, according to them and according to the writers of Snow White, women can't even want to be in love anymore.
They say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, 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 echo.
This is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
Spielberg, a man who's worked with some of the greatest actors of all time, saw something raw and unpolished in her. She was the wild card, the unknown he could shape into the next household name. Studio execs were reportedly skeptical. Could a complete unknown carry a film like this? But Spielberg didn't.
It's got extra musical numbers that are incredibly unnecessary that really add to that runtime, and let me go ahead and let you know that they're absolutely f***ing atrocious.
Have they ever thought about maybe like a little bit of like, I don't know, vulnerability study, opposition research, that sort of thing, before you go and hire some Zoomer who's a lunatic?
She came out and she said, I apologize. Like I went too far, but it wasn't sincere.
Waver, he fought for her, hard. He put his own reputation on the line to make sure Rachel landed the role of Maria. To Spielberg, she wasn't just another actress, she was the future, his personal project. But behind closed doors, sources allege that faith quickly soured. Spielberg, who prides himself on spotting potential, was allegedly stunned by the person Rachel became once the cameras stopped rolling. Instead of a grateful newcomer eager to learn,
I sat through the whole thing. This was really bad. It was extremely leftist on every political dimension: racial politics, sexual politics, class politics, regime politics. Its narrative was cowardly. It was just awful.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
Queen, playing the evil queen. It was pretty amazing.
Insiders say Spielberg was confronted by someone who acted like she had already arrived, someone who believed the production should revolve around her. And once you lose Spielberg's trust, there's no getting it back. Almost immediately after the cameras started rolling, the magic began to wear off. Insiders claim Rachel's behavior turned what should have been a triumphant shoot into a behind-the-scenes headache.
Now, I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
Disney deleted Someday My Prince Will Come and made a modernized feminist alternative.
And you know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million.
Allegedly, Rachel wasn't just passionate, she was confrontational. Reports say she constantly clashed with the directing team, questioning their authority and second-guessing their choices. She nitpicked choreography designed to honor the original film.
Remaking the movie, they just got rid of the dwarfs, but they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it, the disability, like we're a disability group. You just erase that whole
into this, the first villain Disney ever had. It's really getting myself into this big big crown.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live-action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
Nobody wants a movie about true love. What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? It's the outrage.
The same choreography Spielberg had gone out of his way to preserve out of respect for cinematic history. Crew members, once excited to work on a Spielberg musical, started whispering about the Rachel problem. The energy shifted. Excitement turned to exhaustion. The production didn't feel like a dream anymore. It felt like a slow-motion disaster brewing right under Spielberg's nose. And Spielberg, a man known for protecting his actors fiercely, allegedly found himself in a nightmare, privately humiliated, furious that the fresh face he had risked so much on was now making the project harder, not better. As the days on set stretched into months, Spielberg's legendary patience allegedly wore thinner with every interaction. Sources say what began as quiet concern turned into open frustration behind the scenes. The man who had once championed
pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
Doing catastrophically. They spent $300 million and it currently has a 2.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
The movie has a major identity crisis.
Rachel at every meeting was now allegedly venting to close friends and not holding back. According to insiders, Spielberg privately fumed that Rachel didn't understand basic professionalism. She acted like the production was built around her, like she was bigger than the film itself. For a director who built his legacy on teamwork, where every actor, grip, and gaffer mattered, this was a betrayal. One insider even claimed Spielberg said Rachel ruined the spirit of what was supposed to be a celebration of collaboration. A brutal indictment from a man who has launched more careers than almost anyone alive. And when someone like Spielberg starts regretting his choices, that's not gossip, that's career death. Crew members allegedly noticed the change immediately. Spielberg, once so warm and protective, had gone cold. By the end of filming, insiders say he treated Rachel like just another name on the call sheet. No special mentions, no backstage advice, just distant professionalism, and a growing sense that Rachel's big moment had already slipped through her fingers. When West Side Story hit theaters, Spielberg did the dutiful rounds. He appeared on carpets. He gave a few sound bites. But anyone paying close attention could see something was off. During interviews, when Spielberg praised the film, he would mention the ensemble cast, the cinematography, the legacy of the story.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
Controversy in Snow White. The dwarves have been eliminated in the live action.
Yeah.
Now it's Snow White and the 7 magical beings.
Wait, it's 7 and the magical beings.
Yeah,
They won't even
7
say
magical
and the 7
beings.
dwarves.
No, because they're not dwarves. For right now, that's the only jobs that are there.
But noticeably missing from many of his public comments, Rachel Zegler's name. Insiders whispered that it wasn't a coincidence. It was intentional. Instead of laying low or projecting humble gratitude, she hit the interview circuit like a wrecking ball. She posed for edgy magazine shoots. She gave eyebrow-raising interviews where she threw shade at Disney classics. She racked up enemies faster than she collected fans. What should have been her crowning moment became a slow-motion PR train wreck. When Spielberg, arguably the greatest living director, quietly stops championing you, you're no longer protected. In Hollywood, where careers are built on alliances and reputation, it's not enough to be talented. You need powerful backers. And Rachel, whether she realized it or not, had lost the most powerful one she could ever hope to have. By the time awards season wrapped up, the writing was on the wall. Rachel wasn't the next big thing anymore. She was a risky bet. And in Hollywood, nobody bets on the house when the walls are already crumbling. If Rachel Zegler's career was already wobbling after West Side Story, Snow White blew it to pieces. Disney's much-hyped live-action remake, expected to rake in billions, turned into one of the biggest flops in the studio's history. The film didn't just underperform, it crashed. Hard, barely scraping together $194 million globally against a bloated $270 million production budget. Snow White wasn't just a financial loss, it was a humiliation. But it wasn't just the numbers that were brutal, the public. Dragging Rachel received was even worse. Fans didn't simply reject the film, they mocked it. Meme after meme flooded social media, roasting the movie, clowning Disney's attempt to modernize a beloved classic, and tearing Rachel's performance and her public interviews to absolute shreds. Clips surfaced of Rachel mocking the original 1937 Snow White, calling it outdated and weird, even laughing at the idea of a prince saving a princess. What she clearly thought would sound empowering instead came off as smug, dismissive, and totally disconnected from the audiences Disney needed. And the backlash was instant. Suddenly, all the backstage rumors about Rachel's arrogance weren't just whispers anymore. They were mainstream news. Rachel wasn't the misunderstood rising star, she was the villain in her own Hollywood story. A case study in how fast you can lose public goodwill when you act like the audience is beneath you. As the Snow White disaster exploded across the internet, Rachel still clung to hope that her career could survive the storm. That maybe, just maybe, the industry would forgive a flop if she stayed quiet long enough. But then, the nuclear bomb dropped. Sources close to Rachel claim she completely unraveled when she heard what insiders were saying. That Spielberg himself, the man who discovered her, was allegedly sharing the real behind-the-scenes stories about her West Side Story behavior with Hollywood elites. It wasn't just bad press anymore. It wasn't just angry tweets. It was her career being methodically, brutally dismantled, and from the inside out, by the most powerful man she had ever worked with. Rachel allegedly begged her team to go into damage control mode. She pushed for interviews to repair her image. She strategized with publicists. She even floated the idea of issuing a public apology tour. But it was too late, because when Spielberg quietly withdraws his support, it's like a silent blacklisting. Nobody has to say anything. Studios just stop calling, directors stop offering roles, and Rachel's once blazing Hollywood momentum turned into dead silence almost overnight. As one insider allegedly put it, she went from Spielberg's discovery to Spielberg's cautionary tale, and there's no coming back from that. Directors started quietly blacklisting her. Big projects she was rumored for vanished. One producer allegedly said privately, "She's a great voice trapped in a nightmare PR storm." Even Disney, the brand that built the Snow White remake around her, began quietly distancing itself. Rumors say several upcoming projects were paused or restructured to eliminate Rachel's involvement. In Hollywood, reputation is everything. And Rachel's isn't just bruised, it's radioactive. Rachel Zegler had the world handed to her on a silver platter, a Spielberg project, a Disney princess title, and in just under 2 years, she threw it all away. Because in this town, talent gets you in the room, ego gets you kicked out. And while Rachel's downfall might seem sudden, insiders say it was brewing from the very beginning. The only question left is whether this is a temporary stumble or the permanent end of what could have been a once-in-a-generation career. If Spielberg has truly turned his back on her, then Rachel Zegler's Hollywood story didn't just end,